All right, right here on the National Real Estate Cafe, you heard it first. Are you ready for the upcoming recession?
That's right. Well, I wasn't running away, but I was running out the door. I had my backpack on, my glasses on my head, and Don's like, wait, no, we have to do a video about the recession. I'm like, all right, Don, let's go. Knock it out real quick.
Right. We've been watching these numbers for quite some time. There's certain key factors that kind of spearhead and let you know when a recession is potentially coming. And one of them is this thing that you're going to show on the screen here. This inverse yield curve? What the hell, Gino?
Well, what a beautiful chart. So basically first of all, let's talk about a yield curve. A yield curve, we are looking at the maturity of treasury bonds. We have 1-year treasury bonds, 3-month treasury bonds, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and 30 years. But for the purposes of the conversation of the inverse yield curve, what we're almost always comparing is the 2-year to the 10-year.
Correct. So this was a chart done just a week ago, and we were seeing that the 2-year is barely, almost, it was just below the 10-year. Well, today...
All of those would be red today.
All those changed. So what this means is, believe it or not, a 2-year now gives you a better return than a 10-year, which is not usually the case. Usually you get a high return for the risk over 10 years versus 2 years I can see what's going on. 10 years, I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly. But what that means is that banks don't really want to let you borrow the money for a long time. The government is really paying a premium to say, just borrow something now, please. So at the end of the day, people are buying bonds, people are looking for safety, and we know that for the short term, definitely it's just a flight to safety. It's not a seeking return situation. So ultimately, we do have an inverse yield curve. Every time we've had an inverse yield curve of a duration of a few months, now it's not just because it touched one day and it walked away, but as long as it lasts a few months, it signals a recession every time. So this is one of the most guaranteed signals of recession. How do you know? It also has to be combined with full employment. Do we have full employment, Don?
And then we had some of the lowest unemployment numbers we've had in, I don't know, since 63, I think.
Now, let's not all be fearful. Recession does not mean the end. It does not mean depression. It does not mean global meltdown.
That's why I wanted him in on this, because you want to hear from two talking heads.
Recession just means that we are not going to have growth. It could even be completely stagnant. It just means that we're not going to have growth for 2 sequential quarters, and that's probably going to happen Q4 and Q1, and we're going to look brilliant like this crystal ball had all of our answers. And in fact, so when you see that the tariffs were pulled back just a little bit, it's not because Trump was crazy. It's not because China's doing this or that. It's because we're trying to stimulate Q4 and Q1 right now to make sure that doesn't happen. You are going to see the government throw the kitchen sink at this recession.
That's right, and that's why you do see rates, the Fed lowering rates is to basically help continue to stabilize the economy. We don't want, it's more of a global growth thing too. It's not just us. Remember,
China, Portugal,
Germany, there's a lot of countries that are already slowing. We haven't seen it so much here. Remember, everybody reacts at different times. But as the U.S. goes, so does pretty much the rest of the world. So it's not going to be the end of the world. It's not going to be as bad as the last recession. It's called a correction, and that happens. And I think it'll create a lot of opportunity for homeowners.
If it's a healthy correction, it will actually correct itself by the end of next year. You know, we should see 2 quarters, Q4 and Q1, pretty negative. And then we should see the summer of next year pick back up. And that's what we'll be watching for. As long as next Q2 and Q3 are solid, good to go. We made it past the worst of it.
That's right. So these things happen, and so we just want to be one of the first to share this with you and kind of explain what you're going to be hearing about more and more, but give you the perspective on how it affects you or doesn't affect you. So we'll keep you updated as you go. You should get it updated by getting these sent right to your phone by texting NREC to number 58885, or of course,
check us out at donandgino.com. And I'm out of here.